Hey fabulous people, I am back again with another video. This is February, which is Black History Month, so I've decided to give you a list of my top 5 favorite black female characters in animation. Number 5, we're going to start off with a good one. This is Penny Proud from the Disney Channel series The Proud Family. Penny was a really clever girl. She probably wasn't a straight A student, but we know from the show that she did fairly well in school, and she was involved in a lot of different extracurricular activities, from the school newspaper to the drama club to the football team. And she was very driven. When she had a goal in mind, she was determined to do it and to do it as best she could. For example, regarding the football team, she was the first girl to play on her high school's football team. And she had to take the school to court, not only to be allowed on the team, but also to be allowed to play. And there were multiple instances where she would push limits like that. And she was a very kind, charismatic, thoughtful character too. Not always immediately, but after a little bit of time, she would usually come around to understand other people's points of view. The show was interesting too, normally staying pretty grounded in reality, but sometimes throwing in wild curveballs that seemed to come from nowhere. For instance, in one episode, her twin baby brother and sister are suddenly turned into teenagers who are older than she is because she wished they would be old enough to take care of themselves so she didn't have to babysit anymore. So it's a really interesting show, and I definitely recommend people check it out. Next on our list is Gratuity Tip Tucci from the DreamWorks movie Home. I'm aware that Home also has a cartoon spin-off on Netflix called Home Adventures with Tip and O, which is a good series in and of itself, but honestly the character for Gratuity or Tip seems so wildly different from how she is in the movie that I consider them pretty much different characters. Tip in the movie is a very loving, compassionate person who is very protective of what she considers as hers. So particularly her mom and her determination to get to her mom after the invasion. And we also know that she's a pretty smart student too, and is also proud of it, repeatedly bragging about the grade that she got in her math class in school, despite having just moved to a new city all the way from Barbados and feeling uncomfortable and like an outcast. And like she said, 7th grade girls are mean. So she's a really sweet character, and the very first black character to be animated in a CG movie. So that was an interesting step. Number 3 is a little questionable, but it's Garnet from Steven Universe. The reason this character is questionable is because she's an alien, so whether or not you can consider her black is debatable. But she does have brown skin and a hairstyle that could be considered an afro. So I would consider her a black character, but my opinion isn't necessarily the one that matters. Anyway, Garnet is a beautiful combination of different characteristics, being both compassionate and stoic, and both gentle and strong. And she's also a very sweet, affectionate, loving character, particularly in the way that she treats Steven. Then for number 2, we have Tiana from the Disney movie The Princess and the Frog. She is a loving, compassionate, driven woman who is intensely independent and very goal-oriented. She knows what she wants, and she goes for it, sometimes to the detriment of other needs that she has in her life. The prominent example being she is so set on getting the restaurant that she and her father dreamed of built that she forgets to take care of herself emotionally. That said, she does learn and grow throughout the movie, particularly with guidance from other black women in her life, particularly her mother and then the fairy godmother character Mama Odie. Before we get to number 1, I want to talk about some honorable mentions real quick. First off, there's Doc McStuffins from the similarly titled Disney Junior show. I have heard nothing but praises for this show and this character, but I've never actually watched it myself, so she didn't make the list. Then there's Miranda from the Nick series As Told by Ginger. Wow. Yeah, Miranda from the Nick series As Told by Ginger. She is really an awful person. She's an interesting character in that it's good to have a bully character, and As Told by Ginger is very grounded in reality, where even the mean bully character is realistic. Like, there's a few episodes where you meet her family, and her father is a very by the book, follow the rules kind of character. And you can see that from his distant, cruel nature could be part of the reason why she acts the way that she does. Then there's Valerie from Danny Phantom. She wasn't introduced as a primary character until the later seasons, but when she was brought to the forefront, she made for a really interesting dynamic between Danny, Sam, Tucker, and the rest of the groups, like occasionally Jasmine and occasionally Danny with an I. And definitely in regards to her interactions with Vlad, she was really interesting. One last honorable mention goes to Iridessa from the Disney Princess, not the Disney Princess franchise, the Disney Fairy franchise. Wow, I am stuttering today. Iridessa is the light fairy on Tinkerbell's team, and she's very much the scaredy cat character. Like, she's not interested in going on these big adventures, but she somehow gets roped into it anyway. And finally, we're on to my number one favorite black female character in an animated film or movie, and that is Susie from the Rugrats and All Grown Up franchise. Susie is sweet and talented and 100% ready to stand up for others. Like, she doesn't take anybody's crap, especially Angelica, who is the primary antagonist of the series. And she is 100% willing to physically fight Angelica to defend the younger kids. And then later on in the All Grown Up series, where you see the Rugrat characters as teenagers in high school, she maintains a lot of these same emotions, being ready and willing to defend other people and stand up for her friends. And she's also fleshed out her desire to perform, and she does want to be a singer, and there's a few episodes that particularly focus on her love for singing and attempts to find a singing career. But I still remember Susie as she was in the original Rugrats series. This sweet, brave, smart character who acts as kind of the opposite of Angelica. I would say that that is basically what she was introduced as, was to be Angelica's character foil. A character that's a little older than the other kids, but still definitely a child, who is willing to help guide them into the right direction, despite the way that they were being misled by others. And anyway, those are some of my favorite characters, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and leave a comment telling me who your favorite black female character is, and I will talk to you guys soon. You stay fabulous, people!